Well, the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has condemned the British music act Bob Vylan after the punk duo urged death to the IDF at the Glastonbury Music Festival over the weekend. Watch.
Death, death to the IDF, death, death to the IDF, death, death to the IDF.
Yeah, the crowd singing along there too. Joining us live now is former aide to Margaret Thatcher, Nile Gardiner, now director of the Heritage Foundation. Niall, thanks for your time this evening, your time. So, look, support on show here for Hamas at, of all places, a music festival. What were your thoughts on this?
Well, thanks for having me on the show, Peter. I have to say, absolutely disgraceful scenes at Glastonbury over this weekend, appalling. And I think that this is a demonstration really of how far society has fallen in the UK when you have rappers advancing, pro-death messages full of anti-Semitism, support for terrorist organisations, and it's absolutely grotesque, actually. So I do hope the authorities in the UK will be taking action against this very nasty rapper, Bob Vylan, who's basically calling for a terrorist action against the IDF and promoting, I think, anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish views here, and I have to say this Glastonbury festival looks like a sort of Hitler Youth rally, frankly. And you look at the crowd cheering, and these are sickening scenes here where people are glorifying violence, anti-Semitism, outright hatred, support for terrorist organisations, and these are some of those sickening scenes I think we've seen in Britain in many years. Actually, should be strongly condemned. And we should see strong action being taken by the British government over this. OK,
well, let's get to that because Keir Starmer, he's condemned it over the weekend. The Glastonbury organisers, Nile, they've said that they're appalled, but that Northern Irish band Kneecap had in the past expressed support for Hamas and Hezbollah. So what does that mean for their excuse?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think the whole Glastonbury Festival is an absolute disgrace, actually, in every respect, and the fact that they have promoted far left extremist organisations that have supported violence, terrorism, that have called for violence against British politicians, and now, of course, calling for violence against Israelis. This is absolutely outrageous, and we should see the prosecution in Britain of those individuals who are supporting terrorist organisations, who are calling for violence. This is not protected freedom of speech in the UK. In fact, the laws are very clear and strict on this, and we should see the prosecution and arrest of these nefarious rappers who have been calling for violence. Actually, they should be behind bars.
Well, I mean, like you say, I mean, people have been put away for much less.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous in the UK that you see, the arrest of individuals for their tweets on social media, for example, or being arrested, praying silently opposite an abortion clinic, while supporters of terrorism on the streets of British citizens have not been arrested at all. And these rappers are glorifying anti-Semitism, they're glorifying terrorist activity, but there's no action taken against them. So it's a double standard that's applied by the government of Keir Starmer. This has to end. Yeah,
look, Niall, Glastonbury, it's no stranger to political protests. This protests happen all the time. And the acts, I'm sure they enjoy the notoriety. I wonder, though, should payment be withheld until after a performance? So if politics of this kind comes up, then the organisers can say, OK, thanks for the free gig.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, these horrendous rappers should not be paid at all, but also they should be in prison, really. I think that the law has to be applied firmly. But Keir Starmer is a very cowardly prime minister. He leads the most left-wing government in British history, so they may not do anything at all, frankly. In fact, Keir Starmer, I think, is absolutely useless. And so I doubt that the British government is going to do anything. They should be doing something immediately here. And these rappers who are calling for violence should be prosecuted and jailed. They should also be banned, of course, from entry into the United States, Australia, and other countries as well. So I hope they're put on notice swiftly by the Trump administration especially, and there should be zero tolerance for supporters of terrorism.
What do you think Margaret Thatcher would have done, Nile?
Well, she would have taken very swift action against these individuals. She would have had them prosecuted and jailed, and she would not have tolerated this kind of pro-terrorist hate on the streets of Britain.
All right, Nile, really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us there.